Q&A and try to whip it through here and get to questions. So I have a bunch of books out. This is not all of them. I have Anyone on the Bermuda Triangle actually new. It's like 5 years old. But the ones we're going to focus on here mostly today are going to be Ancient Aliens and JFK and Hidden Agenda, which is NASA and the Secret Space Program, because there's stuff in there that's important. But we're focusing primarily on Ancient Aliens and JFK, which is the work that I'm the most proud of. And why it's relevant now is because Donald Trump has released new documents about the Kennedy assassination, which, believe it or not, have sort of solidified my pet theory on why he was killed and who killed him. And as we've advanced that forward, my dream would be to get the attention of the RFK Assassinations Committee, because people like Anna Paulina Luna and RFK Jr., who are looking into UFOs, UAPs, secret space programs, are also going to be doing an assassinations committee at some point, and I really would like to get in front of them because I just feel like the people that they're talking to don't have a clue what's really been going on. So let's go back through and talk about what's really been going on. There have been 3 coups in the history of the United States that we know of just in the last 60 years. President Kennedy was one, Richard Nixon was one, and Donald Trump in 2020 was one. And you know, I don't want to get too political here, but let's be honest, the 2020 election was not legitimate. There was a lot of problems with that. The COVID thing was part of it. And whatever side of the aisle you're on, I'm just going to tell you that's a fact, that they wanted him removed, all because they had done too much and talk too much and were digging their noses into the alien question, the question of exposing the alien presence on Earth. You may not know this about Richard Nixon, but after being elected in the biggest landslide in American history in 1972, he was out golfing with his friend Jackie Gleason, who was a very famous comedian, used to live down here in Miami Beach. They were down here on a golf vacation. One night, Jackie Gleason, who'd always been interested in UFOs, asked his friend, President Nixon, if the UFO stuff is true, and later that night, Nixon shows up with a car, no Secret Service, no driver, drives him to Air Force Base down there, I think it's Eglin Air Force Base, takes him into a freezer locker and shows him the bodies. And Jackie Gleason's wife told him that story, and then immediately after that, the CIA breaks into the Watergate Hotel without President Nixon's knowledge, by the way. They did this on their own. All CIA members, E. Howard Hunt, people like that, broke in, and then when he tried to protect them and cover him up, which was not a smart decision, it ending up in his impeachment, his removal. So if you look at Trump, then I'm going to talk about very little about Trump, but simply the fact that Donald Trump has released some of the documents I'm going to show you today makes him a target, and he's openly talked about being briefed on the alien question, which no president since Truman has admitted he's been briefed on it until President Trump did it in the first term. So, that stuff. And then you have the guy who really, really tried to upset the apple cart, and that's President John F. Kennedy. So, as you guys know or may not know, President Kennedy was assassinated on November 22nd, 1963. This was only 10 days after a very important event that took place, which we'll talk about here, and it's all documented. He was murdered in Dealey Plaza in Dallas. I've been there. I've stood where I'm going to show you who the 2 shooters were, and I think there were only 2. I can prove 2. I can't prove any more.